Hello there, everyone. I'm going to start talking even though I may not be live yet. as always, and I know you hear this every single time I come on. And it's because it's one of those things you never really know if you're live or if you're not live until you start hearing a little bit of feedback from people and people start talking, and until you see yourself. So I know I'm live now because I can see myself on the screen. And we'll wait for some people to get here. And if you want to comment and let me know that you're here and give a shout out and say hello, that will be most gratefully appreciated. I'm going to post my link on Facebook so everybody who follows me on Facebook can come in and join the fun while we're here. So bear with me for a moment. I don't mean to be rude while I'm adding things to the screen here, but just wanting to get a little bit more people here. Please feel free to give a shout out if you're just arriving, so I know that you're hearing me and you're seeing me. Of course, as always, you try to do something quick, so I didn't have to make you wait, and it doesn't work. Right? So we'll give it another try. We'll copy and paste that link. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, and we'll share that to a couple of different places. And then I promise I will devote my full attention to you. Da, 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 da. If you want to, you can go ahead and feel free to prepare your astrology questions that you have. Again, here's the rules of the road. I'm not here to look at your chart for you for free. What I'm here to do is to kind of educate you on astrology things that you might be a little bit confused about. So if you have any astrology related questions, things that you wanted clarifying, it's a good time to ask that. I generally come on and do these things for about a half hour, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, dependent upon how strong my throat is. And in addition to that, how many of you are asking questions. And I do have a special announcement with a very special offer for you. As usual. So if you want to hang tight, we'll be talking about that here in just a couple of minutes. Great. I do believe I've posted that in all the locales where it needs to go. And now we're back over here. Hello, Vitoba. And I know there's other people here. Please feel free to kind of join the fun and ask your astrological questions. When we get about, I would say maybe 9 or 10 people here, I'll go into the special offer, which is a really, really very special offer, especially for people who like Rahu and Ketu, that you're only going to find here on YouTube. So this isn't going to be offered on my Facebook page. I think the only other place I'm going to put it out is to my mailing list. So if you're on that, you'll also get a copy of the mailing as well. But other than that, this is just a YouTube only offer. So a couple more people, when they get here, we'll get going with this. And so again, if you have astrology related questions about how anything in astrology works, you can feel free to ask away. Again, I will say, please refrain from going, I have this here, and this here. Please tell me what that means. The reason I don't answer those questions there's a couple of different reasons. Number one, I need to see your entire horoscope. In addition to that, it's what I do for a living. And so, I can't give it away for free, obviously. But also I'd be giving you inaccurate information if I didn't look at your entire horoscope. Is it really that bad to start something new days before an eclipse? Here's the scenario with that. The thing is it's going to be dependent upon the horoscope, right? A lot of times people like to pick an auspicious day to do things. That's a branch of astrology called electional astrology. To the majority of astrologers in Vedic astrology, that's called a muhurta. But muhurtas, in my opinion, should always be taken in balance with the dashas that the person's going through. So you might be in a very productive dasha. And so sure, of course, maybe starting it a few days prior to an eclipse will make it a little shaky, so to speak, but sometimes the dashas can override that. That's probably the clearest way I can answer that. I'm going to answer some more questions. So, and so just so everybody knows, because Darius, I know you may have just arrived and you didn't understand what we were talking about here, but I'm not here to answer your questions about your own horoscope. You can, however, schedule in a consultation with me. And here's the very special offer that I'm putting out to just my YouTube list, as well as the mailing list that I have. If you schedule in a consultation 60 minutes or over at the link I'm going to type into the chat window, then you get my Rahu and Ketu course bundle, not just the course, you get the course bundle for free. You know what that is? That's a course that's 50 classes long. That's 50 videos. That's the Excelling with Rahu and Ketu course. And in addition to that, you also get the nodes through the nakshatras, and that's a 29 class course. So you get 79 classes just for scheduling in a consultation, right? So if you want to do that, all you have to do is follow the link I'm typing in the chat window here. Somebody asked the question, why tropical, but why not sidereal? Here's the thing, I'm really not into going into that whole debate online, and I'll explain why. I'm of the opinion that if you use the sidereal zodiac, you can still give very accurate readings. A lot of my friends are sidereal zodiac astrologers. A lot of my astrological friends, right? I know they do good work. It's really down to calculations and techniques. Myself, I do use the tropical zodiac with sidereal nakshatras. Why did I switch to it personally? Because I found my accuracy ratio went up, but that isn't to say that tropical is right and sidereal is wrong. And that's when people get into all sorts of arguments and they start mudslinging. And really, it's just kind of stupid, in my opinion, because astrology allows us to judge God's will. And if we think that God is going to fit into one pigeonhole of this system or that system, and there's one right and there's one wrong, we're missing the whole picture, because astrologers really are not perfect in the zodiac. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I hope we can kind of put that discussion to rest, and I hope I'm not bombarded with tons of comments and thing going, oh, why do you do this? And really, let's just kind of stop talking about all of those things. I don't know if my connection just messed up. I hope I'm back now. So anyway, we have some questions here, but I don't want to really go into the tropical sidereal thing, because I don't see reasons for us to have conflict over that. I think it's a matter of personal preference, what works best for the astrologer and what allows them to give the most accurate readings for their clients. And that's really what's most important. Okay, so let's see what else we've got. Somebody's saying, last time I said people with bad compatibility can also fall in love, and that's for a reason. But how is that possible if moons aren't connected? I think you need to ask the universe that, because the universe puts us in each other's path for very special and very specific reasons. And quite often we form a bond with somebody and we really love them, but we just can't get along, right? That happens. You can love somebody and like also at the same time feel like they're not somebody you get along with at all. And that happens. So that kind of baffles everybody. But should a person getting into a relationship or a person getting married be determined purely by compatibility? If the two people love each other and their charts are not compatible, then they have something to learn from the relationship. And I believe that astrology is for understanding what's going on and being aware of what's happening. But to use it to control your life, I don't necessarily think that's the path to go down. Okay, so let's see what else we've got going on here in the question section. People are asking lots of questions today. Once again, by the way, I'll mention the special offer because we have a lot of new arrivals. If you schedule in any consultation, 60 minutes or over, as part of my Teal Thursday. What's Teal Thursday, you may ask? Well, think of Black Friday and how people trample on each other going into stores, getting into arguments over bargains and deals. We don't need any of that. We need a spiritual alternative, which is Teal Thursday, right? So as part of my Teal Thursday offer, if you schedule in any consultation today, this offer expires at midnight London time today. Schedule any consultation 60 minutes or over, you get the Rahu and Ketu course bundle. That contains Excelling with Rahu and Ketu, which has 50 video classes, 60 to 90 minutes long, and the nodes through the nakshatras, which has 29 video classes, 60 to 90 minutes long, all for scheduling in a 60-minute consultation. Let's take some more questions. First of all, here's the link right here in the chat window. I'm going to put it here for people who may want to schedule and take advantage of that offer. What to look for to determine when it is a good time to start a business? I think my answer to that would be sometimes our lives decree that we do so anyway, because the times are coming along and we need a change. So sometimes you could look at your chart and you could go, right, it might be better for me to start a business in a couple of years when the planets are in my favor and it's going to show success. So what you're doing is you're picking a time when the universe is going to confirm your efforts, right? But at the same time, if you're going, you know what, I'm tired of this deadbeat job. My boss really makes me angry. I don't feel like there's any purpose or meaning to my life. I got to go. And, I've got money and savings and I can afford to develop my business and work on that while, living off of my savings. And hey, sometimes that's a better time to start a business. So really, there's no simple solution. It depends upon what you're looking for. If you're wanting to have immediate, I put efforts out and I get results, then you should wait until a time that's showing success in the D10 chart, the D2 chart, and the D4 chart. The D2 and D4 deal with financial indications, whereas the D10 deals with your level of success, right? So if you're looking to put out energy and get immediate results, then that's the time to look for. If you're feeling fed up with your job and you have money to live off for savings and it shows, hey, I can live off of this for this amount of time and that'll be good for me, but I can't really go to this job anymore because it's making me sick, then that's a good time too. So hello, Nicole. Nicole said hello. Nicole Brenny said hello. I've listened to the stars. So hello. So let's see what else we've got here in our questions. Do malefic planets in Kendra houses weaken the horoscope? It can, but I'm going to say that with a proviso. Okay, so first of all, I'm not fond of the word malefic because it gives the concept of bad or good for benefic. And it's not that, benefic planets are all good, and it's not that malefic planets are all bad. The actual terminology for it is Somya for benefic. Somya means gentle, and Krura for the malefics, which Krura means cruel. Okay, so it's actually gentle and cruel. So cruel planets can give you good results and success, but they do it in a cruel manner and they make you work really hard, right? Gentle planets can give you a lot of hardship, but they do so in a gentle manner, right? And so they can both cause problems. So we need to be careful, first of all, with benefic and malefic. In terms of whether they'll always create problems, it depends upon the strength of the planet. As this is really kind of a planetary yoga, the way I would generally tend to qualify that is by using a score that's combined upon, that is a combination of Ishta and Kashta, Shubha and Ashubha Phala, and Digbala. And there's a mathematical permutation that my software does with that, which helps to determine how difficult a planet involved in a difficult yoga is and how positive a planet involved in a positive yoga is, right? So if the planet offers more benefit than it does difficulty, then it's not really going to be, as much of a problem, okay? Let's see what else we've got going on here. Somebody is asking me, and please feel free to ask away with your questions. Can I give some tips regarding how to get good sleep and have it in routine? maybe random tips or even some tips out of Vedic perspective. Well, I'm going to give you random tips, right? Which is number one, don't eat right before bedtime. Like if you eat before bedtime, it's going to be really difficult for you to digest your food, and it's likely going to keep you awake all night, right? Another thing is go to bed when you're tired, right? Rather than have a set bedtime every single night. Have an unwinding routine, right? Like maybe relax into your bed with the book until you fall asleep. I did something when I was about 13 years old, and I don't even do it anymore, but it made it so I can just fall asleep, at will pretty much, and I fall asleep very easily, is I imagined a little on-off switch. I visualized it. When I was ready to go to sleep, I would visualize myself turning that switch off. Next thing you know, within 10 minutes, I'd be off to sleep, right? So those are very random, but hey, it's Mars opposing Uranus right now. And I do like to kind of look at Uranus occasionally. Notice I didn't say the other way of looking at that. That would be very inappropriate. And I do occasionally look at Pluto and those outer planets because sometimes they offer a little bit of extra insight, but they're not always necessary. But we're dealing with some really tense energy leading up to the lunar eclipse because we've got a Mars-Uranus opposition, and the moon ahead of the lunar eclipse is going to transit over Uranus. So it's a very intensifying week. I do a pardon for all the bings on the side. I don't want to get up and walk over there. So if it keeps doing it, we'll go across and turn it off. Okay, let's see what other questions we've got. Can any dasha planet teach you a lesson or give you a result you are not ready for? So is it true that if it's happening to me, it's got some meaning, nothing happens randomly? I think randomly is a judgment, right? I think things can happen and your mind is closed to what you need to look at. But I think that all dashas and planets are there to give you a lesson. The difference is whether your eyes are open to the lesson and whether your heart's open to learning the lesson at that particular point. And if you're not, that's when it might seem like something is happening randomly that has no meaning, right? Also occasionally I would say sometimes we're burning residual karma. And when that happens, it can be a little bit difficult and feels like things are happening for no reason, but it's always for a reason. It's just you may not always be aware of what that reason is. Hello, Rhonda. How are you doing from Columbia, South Carolina? Good to see you here. I'm also going to post, pardon me, once again, the link to my services page because I have a very special offer in effect where if you schedule in any consultation, 60 minutes or over, you get the Rahu and Ketu course bundle, right? And I just put that link in the window. So if you schedule any consultation, 60 minutes or over, you get the Rahu and Ketu course bundle. That's 2 courses. You get Excelling with Rahu and Ketu, which is 50 classes long. And you also get the nodes through the nakshatras, which is 29 classes long. Those 2 courses will teach you so much about how to work with Rahu and Ketu in the horoscope. So if you want those courses, I suggest you act on it because the offer ends at midnight today. Okay. Here's a good question. I always like answering this one. As a professional astrologer, how do you deal with it if you know bad times are coming up? Doesn't it play with an astrologer's head? Well, first of all, even though I'm a professional astrologer, I don't look at my chart every single day, all the time. I let life have a little bit of a flow to it. I look at astrology in order to understand what I'm going through, what lessons I might be needing to get out of the situation. And occasionally from a financial perspective, I look at it to judge the financial ups and downs. Does it play with your head? Well, sometimes it does, especially because no astrologer is perfect. So you might look at it and go, oh, here comes a successful time. And then it doesn't always happen perfectly. And the universe kind of has this built-in thing where it doesn't let us get it right 100% of the time, regardless of who you are. I'm going to say that. And I know that I'm absolutely correct in that, right? So does it play with my head? Not really, because after you do it a few times, you kind of go, yeah, I have to take it and keep my eyes open and recognize that even though I see this, I may not see the full picture. And that's really a good way to approach astrology and prediction in general and this is coming from somebody who, will make predictions about your chart, is it's always good to go, okay, that's the prediction, but I have to keep my eyes open and see how it all plays out, because it's hard for an astrologer to have absolute perfect vision of thing that's going to happen in any specific moment, and even with their own lives, right? Astrology really, in terms of infallibility, the only way that astrology can be infallible is when you use it to understand yourself and what you're going through. And for that, it's always infallible. Okay, let's see what we've got. Let's see, let me see this question. If this is a personal horoscope question, I may not be able to answer it because I really need to see a person's full horoscope to do that. And before you enter your birth details in the window, I don't do that here anyway because I'm a professional. So if you want to schedule in a consultation, and as I was saying, any consultation 60 minutes or over will also get you the Rahu and Ketu course bundle. That would be a better thing, but let me look at the question. Okay, let's see. Right. Have I any insight on having a prominent 7th and 3rd house and 1st house in detriment? Again, that's more horoscope related because a lot goes on in the Varga charts that people seldom pay attention to. So I could make some assessment based upon that. And in your Varga charts, you may have something that overrides that. And that's why I don't like going into that. Yeah, so somebody's saying you'd seen an interview of mine and I said a Vedic astrologer predicted that I was born sometime before your birth time. How did he figure that out? Do you know how? Well, I imagine he was rectifying by dashas, which I don't do that. I actually use Vargas and transits to rectify, pardon. So in rectifying by dashas, he was looking at characteristics of my father related to the D12 chart. And it wasn't matching up with what I was telling him. So he had just adjusted the birth time until it did match up, which was about 1 minute and 10 seconds earlier. And that's how he did it. Okay. And so, but really, I would say rectifying by dashas alone is not really a good way to rectify. You need better technique, which is why I use Vargas and transits. It's a much more precise system. Anybody else with any extra questions to ask? Please feel free to type away. I've got 5 minutes left before I'm going to have to go. As a famous person says, before they say I have to go, right? I have 5 more minutes and then they say I have to go, right? So anyway, okay. So feel free to ask your questions away in the chat window. And again, if you schedule any consultation 60 minutes or over before the end of the day today, before midnight London time, you get the Rahu and Ketu course bundle, which contains Excelling with Rahu and Ketu, which is a 50 class course. It covers the nodes in the Rashis, the nodes in the houses, a little bit on the nodes in the nakshatras, but the next course more than makes up for that with the nakshatras, which is the nodes through the nakshatras course, which is a complete course of the nodes in the nakshatras and the concept of opposing nakshatras, right? And you can get a lot of information from that. So again, if you want to schedule in a consultation 60 minutes or over at the link I'm putting in the window here, then you get that course for free. Okay, so somebody's saying, could eclipses impact us from a D9 perspective? Actually, they said COM D9 perspective, but I'm assuming that's your phone. Okay, is it relevant to check how the transit ephemerides affect that, or should we stick to the D1? There's a better way to do transits and interacting with the Vargas than looking at transiting planets in the Navamsha, in my perspective, but it would require a lot of talking in order for me to explain that. There is a course on my site, though, on the following page I'm going to give you, which will teach you the birth time rectification technique, which also teaches you the very same transit technique that you would use to predict and working with the Vargas in that particular manner. That's at this link that I just put in the window. Okay. Okay, I guess it was Saturn who was pinging you while you were helping out regarding sleep, and Saturn doesn't want me to sleep. Okay, you mean the beeping going on the other end. Okay, if anybody has any other questions, please feel free to ask away. I've got another couple of minutes to answer maybe one or two more questions if you want to ask. Generally, a very intense time in the next few days. Remember that people are dealing with their own sets of pressure. They're dealing with their own nervousness. They're dealing with their own feelings as if their world is kind of, being turned upside down, so to speak. Watch your speech. I've been noticing the last couple of days, due to the energy that's present, that things have been a little fuzzy regarding speech, and that's adding into the equation in regards to the tension that's there. Do I look at the Karakamsha and Swamsha Lagna? I approach Jaimini techniques in a little bit of a different way, and that's a topic for intensive discussion, which I wouldn't be able to cover in 2 minutes, right? So if you want more information on that, again, there's another course you can do. That would be at the Academy link. There's a Jaimini Level 1 course. How to handle intense energies from multiple tight conjunctions. Go to bed. Go to bed, right? Unless you're Anim Banerjee, and then you're not going to be able to go to bed, right? Okay. So how to handle those intense energies? You need to understand why the planets are having the difficulty. You need to understand the planets. Understand the planets like their personalities. Treat them like their entities. Understand what they're going through. Understand which planets help other planets. Lajatati Avastas will teach you a lot about that. That's a really excellent area to explore, because planets that are friends delight each other, and planets that are enemies starve each other. So when a planet's having a really hard time from a tight conjunction, it needs its friends to help it out. And so that's a good way to understand how that works. So I'm running out of throat for the day, but again, I will say it, in conclusion, that if you schedule in a consultation, 60 minutes or over, you get the Rahu and Ketu course bundle absolutely free. You get the Rahu Ketu course bundle absolutely free. That contains 79 videos. You get the course Excelling with Rahu and Ketu, and you also get the course Nodes Through the Nakshatras, all for scheduling in a consultation, 60 minutes or over before midnight London time today, the 16th of November. All right, everybody, I'm going to go and take care of yourself. And until next time, happy eclipsing, and take it easy on yourself.